This is John T for the Boxing Voice. I'm delighted today to say that I'm joined by Robert Smith from the British Boxing Board of Control. Happy New Year, Robert. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very good, thank you. I hope you had a good festive time like the rest of us, I'm sure.
Yeah, very quiet, as everyone's saying at the moment, stuck at home, but lots of alcohol, lots of food, on the way in scales in the new year, so trying to lose a few pounds, but all good. So look, thanks for coming on. I just thought maybe we'd get some time with you because obviously it's sad that we've seen over the last week that you've had to suspend boxing. It looks like for January at the moment in the UK. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that for us, please.
Yes, obviously a very difficult decision to do. Took a lot of meetings to get where we were. We are obviously very reliant on the NHS, and our doctors work for the NHS, all our neurosurgeons and surgeons, etc., and anaesthetists. So difficult decision. However, one we had to make. I think it was the right decision to make. However, I can say that we are looking to commence boxing again in February, more than likely mid-February, and I'm working on that now.
Okay, well, that's great news. That feels only like 5 or 6 weeks away. So hopefully it is back then. Do you mind me asking a question a lot of the fans have got on their mind is a lot of other professional sports are still continuing to trade, if you like, at the moment. So when I think of football, which a lot of our fans will follow, you know, there's bigger entourages, there's bigger teams, there's more medical staff. It feels, some quarters feel it's a little bit unfair that boxing's on pause, yet some of the other sports aren't.
Well, we, unfortunately, due to the nature of the sport, when we have a serious injury, it can be very serious. And therefore, we rely on the NHS greatly with regard to the availability of beds for individuals if they have to go to hospital. Also, the other thing is with regard to venues, I mean, football, rugby, horse racing, etc., are virtually purpose-built venues with fantastic medical facilities, doctors there all the time employed by the clubs, and we don't have that. We obviously work, I mean, during the lockdown, we've been running shows in a TV studio, Eddie's Garden, Office Garden, a church hall that Frank Warren put in Westminster, a nightclub in Liverpool that Clifton Mitchell put on. So it's a different scenario with regard to facilities we have at venues and also the medical cover we have at venues. As I said, the nature of the sport is a dangerous sport. We have to make sure that not only are our boxers looked after, but also our medics are looked after as well. They are very busy at the present time, and to be taking them from their proper job to come and look after us was deemed to be incorrect. However, John, to be fair, we've only lost 2 shows at the end of January. There was going to be one beginning of February, but that was pulled relatively early on. So, you know, for the fact we've only lost 2 shows and we're hoping to start again in the mid-February is not as bad as everybody thinks.
Yeah, agreed there. I think we had an MTK one up in Yorkshire as well as an Eddie card for Josh Kelly. So hopefully they'll be rearranged. Are you worried at all that the cases seem to be getting more by the day and the fatalities are rising, sadly, that maybe that might have to be reviewed and it might be extended into maybe the end of February or even March? Could that happen?
Well, of course, but I'm concerned as a human being with regard to the whole country and the world ultimately. And I think this is not a good situation to be in. We felt that by stopping in January, and as I say, there's only 2 shows, gives us time to look back on what we've done, what we've put in place, and if we need to put anything more in place to move forward. We're doing that. We've done a great deal of work over the Christmas period and since we've come back into the office, and we're very hopeful that we're going to be up and running very, very soon, and that will be announced shortly. But yes, of course, I'm concerned that things don't seem to be getting any better at the present time, but that's the whole country. That's not just sport. I mean, one of the things that we have to put into perspective is that when we first shut down in March, and then we decided to start again in July, we were moving into something we've never dealt with before. It's a completely new way of operating shows, etc. So we were actually operating in the dark to a certain extent. Now, because of the shows that's taken place, we're more aware of the problems that arise at tournaments, problems that arise in the lead up to the shows with regard to any positive tests. So we're in a better position now to recommence than we were in July. You know, when I go into a boxing tournament, any show, and in normal circumstances, I know things will go wrong, but you've got experience with regard to how you've dealt with them before, because most problems are in some kind of way, very, very closely linked. When I went into a show in July, we were walking into something we'd never dealt with before. So you've got to be patient, but I am confident now that we can resume and carry on, and we'll have a busy February, March, and April, and hopefully by then we'll be in a better position to carry on as near as normal as we can.
Yeah, great answer. I'm sure the promoters that they will be cramming fights in as much as they can to make up for lost time for the fighters. Just a couple more bits. I did read this week, or was it last week, that Eddie Hearn had said that if it does go into February, he might consider taking some of the British fighters abroad to fight if he could get clearance for that. What would your thoughts be there?
Well, Eddie promotes around the world, so that's not the first time he's done that. I mean, Luke Campbell fought for the world title in America. Eddie would promoted that. So. And Callum Smith a couple of weeks before that was a matchroom show. So yes, I fully understand Eddie has a job to do. He does a very good job. We're hoping we're in a position that we can start up, so he'll be running the shows here. If that's not the case and Eddie wants to go abroad, then that's a great shame, but we fully understand that. But we've got to make sure that we can put in place things to run as smoothly as possible in as safe as environment as we possibly can, with the welfare of the boxers and everybody at that show, including the medical officers, etc., making sure that they're okay. And we will do that. I'm hoping, but by the time when we start again in mid-February, which I'm sure, hopefully we will, Eddie's shows will be in Great Britain.
Okay, and that's your priority is the safety first for all the fighters and everybody concerned. So I totally understand that. Just one last.
I'm sure Eddie's are as well, but obviously Eddie has a business to run, and if he has to go abroad to do that because other countries can allow boxing events to take place, I fully understand that and respect it. I obviously want them to take place in Great Britain, but his comments won't make any difference to when we start running, and we are planning to run them hopefully running middle of February, and hopefully Eddie will be running his shows here.
I spend a lot of time when we're not in COVID, obviously, Robert, where I go to gyms and meet lots of prospects, lots of new pros, as well as the established pros. And it's sad at the moment because of the lack of sport that's happening, that some of the grassroots are being affected. What were your thoughts that I think the government ploughed some money into sport, but boxing was just left off that list? That was really disappointing.
Very disappointing. But as I've said to many other people, the problem with boxing is we're very fragmented. So we have the professional side, which obviously is the British Boxing Board of Control. We have the amateurs, which have the GB squad, which is lottery funded, so there's money there. And we have the home associations. So where does the money go? So what we've been doing since that initial disappointment is dealing with the amateur associations to try to get one voice. We are very lucky on the board. We have an MP, Chris Evans, who is the chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Boxing Group. We've been in contact with the Sports Minister, Nigel Huddleston. I've had correspondence with him. I've had a Zoom meeting with him. He understands our plight, and hopefully in the future we can change that. But although I'm concerned about the professional side, I think I'm more concerned really about the amateur side, because if the clubs close, that takes away the young talent coming through, which ultimately will come to the professionals in 10 years' time or whatever. So, we've got to look at it as a whole of sport. We are speaking to all the relevant associations and the amateurs, and hopefully Mr. Huddleston will listen to us, and we'll get some good news in the future.
Let's hope so. Again, I spoke to a few fighters recently. I think some of them are considering taking up second jobs, as you said, and that could stem the flow of fighters coming through, and then we'll have to pick that up over the coming years. But like you said, Robert, 10 minutes ago, I think that's the same as any industry at the moment. It's not just sport and boxing, it's worldwide. So
I think that the thing there, John, is that we are very aware that the only people who can promote at the moment are the people who have television contracts and broadcasting contracts. We're well aware of that. And that obviously is a very small percentage of the amount of promoters we have in the country. So I was hopeful that at the end of the year, we'd got up and running. I think we've done very well as an organisation and as a sport to get up and running when we did, due to the nature of the sport. And the next move was to try to get the smaller hall promotions up and running as well. But of course, the news over the last week or so has been a bit of kick in the teeth in that, and that slowed that process up quite considerably. but we are working towards getting there, and hopefully sometime this year the smaller promoters can promote. I mean, when all this started in March and we were looking to resume at that point, and a lot of people said we couldn't do it, but we obviously have. I rung round to the promoters who were hoping to run March, April, May, June, and said to them, this is a major problem for everybody. The amount of money to run a boxing tournament is going to triple, even more than that. And for a small hall promoter to run shows at that time would be financial suicide. And although people said, well, you're not supporting the sport, what I was trying to achieve was, don't lose all your money now. Stop promoting. When we're in a position to start promoting again, then we can get back up and running. And luckily, that's what's happened. And we are aware that boxers have not earned money. Some boxers, not all, have got other jobs. Some of those jobs may have gone as well. So we're well aware of the position we're in. But we're in what we've done and put in place. We have a very strong footing to succeed later on, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, really insightful there. Thanks, Rob. Well, look, we look forward, all the fans and the site, obviously, to you guys are in control there, getting British boxing back up and running. And I'm sure you'll work hard as you always do to do that. Thanks for your time, and we look forward to catching you soon, Rob.
No problem, John. One thing, it's not all doom and gloom. We will return properly. We will get back and going. We are a strong industry. We're a very popular industry, and people want to watch boxing. As long as they want to watch boxing, there will be boxing, and we will get over this. I'm absolutely 100% sure. So take care.
Great stuff. You too. Thanks, Robert.
No problem.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive, from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.